ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to live the life of your dreams. Now, today, I know that many of you are not living your dream. Right now, you might be going through a nightmare. I know that this storm has hit us and has hit many of us really hard. And Native Son, as you know, in the past, they have donated some cards to the Lillian McDermott radio show. Today, we will have two gift cards from Native Son. It's the Natural Food Market. No MSGs, no GMOs, all organic, and they're in Jacksonville ready to help. So at the end of the show, we're giving away two gift cards, $20 gift cards to help you restock your pantry. So please, please, please write down 407-373-5959. Text me or call me, 407-373-5959. And you can leave a message. The first two people after the show is done to call or text will get a gift card. So two people will get one $20 gift card. So please remember to do this after the show is done to help you. And for those of you, the Native Son is in 3 different locations in Jacksonville, and they're there ready to help you. So today, I am excited because we are going to be talking to Terry Byrd he's an attorney of Byrd Byrd. And I have a question for you, my listening friend. Have you been injured on the job and don't know what to do? There's so many different laws to protect workers, but yet there are so many workers that are left feeling abandoned by the system. This is called workers' compensation, and there's an attorney that specializes in worker compensation cases. And this is attorney Terry Byrd. He is part of Lilly's legal dream team that we hear on WDBO on the 3rd Saturday of the month. Well, this time he is here on the show because he is going to be teaching us what are the things we need to know, because he has been representing injured workers for over 28 years, and he is here to teach us the benefits of how we can assert our rights. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Terry Byrd of Byrd Byrd, and that's with a Y, BYRD, Terry Byrd is here to do just that. Welcome, Terry, to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Good morning, Lily.
I'm glad that you are here. Now, I know that you've been doing this and you breathe and sleep. There's a lot of different kinds of specialties that you do in your show, but today specifically, we're talking about workers' comp. Share a little bit about your story and what led you to learning about workers' comp.
Well, Lily, I was raised in Florida. I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the military for 30 years, and we ended up in Florida, and I went to Florida State, and I went to law school to help others. And somehow I ended up in the workers' comp field, but I initially did 10 years of insurance defense work where I represented insurance companies for various things that they were involved in. So when people hire me, they actually get the benefit of my knowledge and experience of what goes behind the scenes in insurance companies and adjusters. And for the past 18 years, I've been representing injured workers and individuals that are seeking benefits through these insurance companies. And it's been pretty successful in obtaining the benefits that they're due and owing under the system.
Why did you make the switch, Terry? What was the moment that you felt, I need to represent the people, not the corporations?
Well, I think when you're working for insurance companies, they just view you as a vendor, and they don't appreciate the hard work that you do for them. Whereas the satisfaction I get from helping individuals out is just tremendous. I get so many accolades for helping them out through the system.
Very good. And so that is a switch that you made about 15 years ago.
About
So
18 years ago. Yeah.
18 years ago. So, so what you're saying is not only are you representing the injured worker, but you know the ins and outs of the insurance companies.
Right. So when you hire me, you get the benefit of my knowledge of also know what's going on behind the scenes with the insurance companies and the adjusters. So I've been all aspects of the case.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And this is, my listening friend, this is what we're talking about today with attorney Terry Byrd of Byrd Byrd Attorneys at Law. And if you have been injured on the at work, take some notes, because today we're going to talk about the tip of the iceberg with Terry Byrd, and we're going to continue our conversation worldwide right here, because we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Okay. Mics are off. Good job. Okay. So, okay.
I'll be right here waiting for
Are you recording, or do you want me to keep recording?
Well, how is that going to work?
McDermott, or leave her a voicemail.
I'm recording, but go ahead and keep recording. I'm going to pause it.
Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. And today we are learning how to have a voice in the workforce, and it's called workers' compensation. And we have part of Lily's legal dream team that I've been so excited about. On WBOB, we're going to have on Saturdays, the third Saturday of the month, we have Lily's legal dream team, and Terry Byrd, attorney Terry Byrd of Byrd Byrd Attorneys at Law, is part of the dream team, as well as Connie Byrd, who is just wonderful. We're going to meet her on Saturday, the third Saturday of the month. This is the topic, is going to be family law. But today we're talking about workers' compensation. Now, Terry, you had mentioned in your bio that you wanted to help people. But why? Why did you want to help people? Where did that come from?
When I did insurance defense on the other side, your whole purpose was to try to prevent individuals from obtaining the benefits that they'd hope to get through the system. And, through legal technicalities and things of that nature, you are able to do that as a defense attorney, and for insurance companies to keep the insurance companies from having to pay certain benefits, which did not make me feel good at all with the way I, view my life. So I just had to get out of that type of system and go and help individuals fight against these insurance companies who, in so many ways, are in bed with the legislature that changes these laws for workers' comp, and also a handful of doctors that we'll talk about later that are in the system that prevent injured workers from getting the benefits that they're due and owing under the system.
Okay, well, that's disturbing. That's really disturbing. So what was it for you? Because you probably were excited out of law school to get a job working with a company, and you're told what you need to do, and you're doing a great job. At what point did you lose sleep? Was there a particular case that made your heart just scream and say, enough? What was it?
Well, what I was able to do while I did insurance defense, have a few clients that did not have a conflict with the companies that I represented. So I ended up representing these individuals, and I realized, oh my, this is a huge opportunity. I can help people get the things that they need out of the system because of my knowledge. So I took a huge risk. Instead of getting a regular paycheck from a big firm downtown, I decided just to put my shingle out and try to help individuals out, and basically worked on a contingency basis. It does not cost injured worker to come see me or talk to me or hire me unless we get a recovery for them ultimately in the system. So, and then any money that they end up with after we get a small piece of any settlement. Most of the money will go to the injured worker, and that money that they end up with will be tax-free. It's one of the few exceptions to the tax code. So
that was one of my questions.
Yes.
Thank you for addressing that, because that was one of my questions. So now describe these injuries, because people get injured on the job. I had shared with you in the past that my father was a benefactor of the laws of someone representing my dad. He worked for a company, and for about a month he had asked for a motor to be picked up, and it was a hazard and nobody would do it. So my dad he was part of the purchasing department, and for about a month nobody would move that thing around, and so he picked it up and he really hurt himself. It was a very heavy machine. He was not equipped to do it. One would say shame on you for moving it, but he was able to get the help that he needed. What are the rules? Who qualifies to establish a claim?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. When you get hurt on the job, that's all you have to prove in Florida, is that you were hurt on the job. But there's a lot of nuances to that, and we can talk about that down the road here. But a lot of people wonder, why does workers' comp exist? Where did it come from?
Sure, that's great.
Over about 100 years ago, we had no workers' comp in America, and what was happening back then was that people also had no health insurance. Back then, the employers were not required or even offered health insurance to their employees, much less disability coverage, which would pay, obviously, for some wages if they were unable to work. So what was happening was that people and employees would get injured on the job and not be able to work and have no income coming in and have nothing available in the way of health insurance to pay for their medical bills.
Yeah.
So what they were doing as a result was they were suing their own employers for negligence in order to get enough funds to pay for all these things that they had, medical bills and lost wages. However, a lot of times you couldn't prove negligence against the employer, because a lot of injuries that happen on the job are just mistakes that employees make, not as a result of the employer doing something completely negligent causing your injury.
Yeah.
So those folks were completely out of sorts with regards to their medical bills and wages, whereas a certain number of employees were successful in suing their own employers under the negligence theory. And as a result, they were bankrupting their own employers with these lawsuits.
Wow.
So what the employers did across the country was to lobby the legislature to create something to help. So what they came up with is this statutory laws passed in each of the states called workers' comp.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what it says basically is that if you were hurt on the job, and you can prove that you were hurt on the job, not somewhere else, and it's not a pre-existing condition, then the employer will purchase workers' comp insurance for you as long as they have 4 or more employees here in Florida. And that insurance will provide medical benefits and lost wage benefits to you while you are recouping.
But what about,
But
in
exchange for that, the employer wanted something. We're gonna provide these benefits to you, but in exchange, we want immunity from any negligent lawsuits. So you could, and there's some pros and cons to this.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to talk about that so you could have for your listeners. The pros are obviously if you get hurt on the job and it's your own fault, or it's a mistake that you made. It's not because anything the employer did negligently. Clearly, that's a pro because you are out of work. You can't have income coming, and you're incurring very expensive medical bills. So you need workers' comp to save you in that situation.
Sure.
I'll give you an example of a case where a gentleman, he misstepped when he was coming down a ladder, and he had this bucket of chemicals in a bucket, and freakily it spilled and it went down his throat. And these were very, very toxic chemicals. It was just his mistake. The employer did nothing to cause the injury. And as a result, though, he ended up with devastating injuries. He ended up with major breathing problems. He had to get a tracheotomy. and live that way for the rest of his life. So it was a tremendous amount of medical expenses into the future. And thank goodness workers' comp was there to pay for the medical bills and pay for these wages that he was missing out on for him and his family. So that's one of the huge benefits that workers' comp does provide, is for accidents that happen that are really, not the employer's fault through negligence.
Sure. And so in a situation you had mentioned, and that's a very unfortunate case, neither the employee or the employer were negligent. It was an accident, and accidents do happen. It wasn't premeditative or trying to stick it to the man, so to speak. It was really truly an accident. And so workers' comp laws protect both of them from incurring any being able to pay for these expenses. But you had mentioned pre-existing conditions, but if you have a pre-existing condition that is aggravated by the action of work, is that considered something that workers' comp would pay for?
Well, yes and no. If there's a thing called major contributing cause when you get into pre-existing conditions, and it's all up to what your workers' comp doctor actually says. Because if you have a pre-existing condition and the doctor determines that 51%, I mean, they pull these numbers out of the air, that 51% of your need for treatment is your pre-existing condition as opposed to the injury that you sustained in the accident, then they are off the hook. They don't have to pay for your medicals. And this is where we'll talk about it here later in the show, how the system has become corrupted through the laws and the legislature. But one of the things I wanted to bring up, we were talking about the pros and cons of workers' comp. One of the cons is the immunity factor. In other words, they get immunity from their own negligence, the employers do. I had a case one time where a gentleman had just started with a factory. Mm-hmm. And he was learning numerous jobs on the job site. Each station he had to learn how it worked. And one of the stations required him to clean out a spinning trowel thing that had a blade in it.
Sure.
It was shut off. So the supervisor told him, well, just stick your hand up in there, and clean out that debris when you can't reach the rest of it. Well, unbelievably, another employee turns on the auger, basically.
Oh, no.
Has his hand up in there and chops off his left hand. A devastating injury. Clearly, probably negligence on the employer and its employees. If it was a straight personal injury case, it would be worth millions of dollars for his loss of his left hand, and he was actually a guitarist, so it was horrible.
Oh no!
Yes. So, under that scenario, the employer was able to just pay for his medical bills, which weren't that extensive, because what are you going to do for your missing hand? You basically stop the bleeding and you're done.
Yeah.
And then they paid for some of his wages, but they didn't pay his wages for the rest of his life because under the law you can work with one hand in Florida, and it doesn't make you totally disabled because you have one hand.
Okay, so in that situation, is the employer obligated to hire them back? Will they have a secure job?
Well, yes. I mean, there's nothing that requires that workers' comp does not make employers keep employees. Employers can say, well, we don't have a job within your restrictions. We don't have a job in this factory for somebody with one hand.
Got it.
So they can legally let them go under that scenario. But just because you get hurt on the job doesn't mean you're necessarily going to lose your job, although it is very common.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so I know it's common. So we're going to continue that conversation. So hold that thought, because it's really important that we know what to do next, other than we're going to go to Terry Byrd if we have any questions about this. And we're going to continue our conversation. And remember, we have two $20 gift cards from Native Son at the end of the show. And we're going to continue our conversation with Terry Byrd of Byrd Byrd Attorneys at Law when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. That was an amazing story, Terry. Now, we normally keep the recording going. That way people know, the people that are listening on the radio are listening to one thing, but people that are viewing us on YouTube are going to get the backstory. So that story of the injured worker with one hand, was this a case of yours?
Yes.
And there's nothing you can do, even though they were negligent?
No. In fact, we researched it to the nth degree, and I can talk about it when we get back on the air. There's only one avenue to try to break the immunity, but it's virtually impossible.
Because if he would have been just anyone walking by sticking his hand in, that would have been personal injury, and you could, like you said, it would have been $1 million case or more.
Oh yeah, this case, this guy was an accomplished guitar. He actually was a lead guitar for a band.
And none of that. And
that was his career before he started this job at the factory. He was, for 8 years, he was the lead guitar for a rock and roll band.
Oh my gosh.
And was left hand. So, I mean, even he said, Terry, if it was my right hand, because he ended up with just a thumb. So it cut off his whole hand except for his thumb.
Now, can you learn how to play the guitar?
Well, he told me, he's a right-handed guitar player. So he says, Terry, if it was my right, I would have rather have been my right hand, because I could, you could use your thumb down here and he would still be able to do all the stuff he did with his left hand.
Yeah.
But he would have to relearn how to play the guitar left-handed, which he was an older guy. He couldn't do that.
So what's he doing now?
I haven't talked to him in 10 years, but
I'm sure
he was a super nice guy. And I'm sure he's just, he's depressed. I mean,
I bet you that after he got through that, because if you said 10 years, I hope, it would be nice to hear his story, because, in a situation like that, if he were to learn how to play the guitar on the left hand, it wouldn't be as hard.
That would be a great story, wouldn't it?
That would be a great story. We need to get him on Thriving Thursdays on the Lillian McDermott radio show.
I agree with it.
Maybe you can look him up. See, hey.
I really did that.
Yeah.
That would be a wonderful story.
Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, you've seen there was a young man that was born with no arms, and he played the guitar with his feet, and he played for the Pope, and that was a very touching,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so we're very resourceful that way. If we just stop and say, okay, this is what is, now what can I do? But so the rest of the conversation, let's focus on. I love your stories, Terry. Those are great stories, and I can see why you decided that you were going to defend the people as opposed to the organizations.
I mean, it's so much more rewarding. I got so sick of insurance companies. They're just awful.
Well, now you know how to deal with them and everybody who goes to you. And by the way, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, the phone number for Terry Byrd is 904-731-0990. So if you're watching in the Jacksonville area on YouTube, at least you'll know where to contact Terry. And the good thing is that they go straight with you. They go straight to you. So so it's 904-731-0990. And coincidentally enough, you're off of Emerson in Jacksonville.
Yeah, near San
Marco. The what?
Near San Marco. Mm-hmm.
Did you guys get flooded?
San Marco got flooded pretty bad. Yeah.
You have a friend who is a therapist there. She is a myofascial. I think I'm saying it wrong. Therapist.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and her clinic is completely underwater, and I think her house as well. I'm not sure, but you're okay. Oh
yeah, we just had a bunch of limbs down.
Yeah. Oh, good.
But
good.
Jacksonville got.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
When you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is my goal that we learn from one another, that we go through life with childlike wonder. Learn what you don't know, and that's what we talk about here on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. And today we've been talking about how to deal with on-the-job injuries with workers' comp attorney Terry Byrd of Byrd Byrd Attorneys at Law. And if you want to learn more about Terry, you can go to lawbyrd.com. That's LAWBYRD.com. That's LAWBYRD.com. And his number is 904-731-0990. But as always, I want to encourage you to also go to whenyouneedafriend.com. You can go there and click on to Terry's name, and it'll take you right to his website as well. So consider becoming a subscriber, because this is where you get the insider scoop of what's happening on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. Every week, once you become a subscriber, you get a blog of who's going to be on, and the show is delivered right to you. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, and when you do, you will get access to my Mind, Body, Spirit Positive Affirmation audio link and my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook. And Terry is part of the legal dream team, Lilly's legal dream team, and so the third Saturday of the month, you can go to WBOB and you'll be able to hear different specialties. And Terry will be joining us next month to talk about workers' comp. And this weekend, we have Connie Byrd to talk to us about family law, collaborative divorces, and how to get along when you can't get along. And she's going to blow you away. I'm really excited about my Lilly's Legal Dream Team and the sponsors that we've gotten from Terry, Connie, Heath Brockwell, and we have Katie coming as well. So we have a gamut of specialties that you can learn from. But that's not all. You can also go to Lillian and Instagram on Lillian McDermott, and Twitter LillianMCD, and of course, as always, on Facebook.com/Lillian's Radio Show. You can listen to the show on YouTube, watch it on YouTube, listen on demand on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. And remember, at the end of the show, you will have the first two people to text or call 407-373-5959 will get a copy or a gift card from Native Son, 3 locations. We know that there are a lot of people that could use the relief. So I hope that you will be able to take advantage of receiving a $20 gift card from Native Son. And for those of you who are listening in Brevard County, if you are able to listen, because Brevard County was hit very hard, but if you're listening, you too, I will offer the same for Sunseed Co-op. They're off of A1A, and they too are helping with $20 gift cards. So we'll give away 2 of those as well. If you're listening to this broadcast this morning, I don't know if later on it will be at noon. So today we're talking about workers' comp. And before we went on the break with Terry Byrd, for those of you, again, if you want to get a hold of Terry Byrd, if you have a question. Now, Terry, you said that to talk to you, it doesn't cost a thing. So this is a contingency case, right?
That's right, Lily. It doesn't cost anybody to talk to me or even sign up with me. We work on a contingent basis, and if we don't get you a recovery in the case, you never owe us anything for our fees and costs.
Well, that's a lot of effort on your part. How frequent? When should we go to an attorney as opposed to handling it ourselves?
Well, since it doesn't cost you anything to have me on the case, I would encourage folks to come as soon as possible, because it doesn't get better as the case progresses. Things happen during the pendency of the workers' comp case that could end up damaging your chances of recovery and your chances of receiving the medical benefits and wages that you are due and owing under the system. So you might as well just get an attorney. Almost everybody that gets hurt on a job these days does consult and obtain an attorney. because it is a complicated system that is in need of assistance, generally speaking.
Now, if you were to get an attorney, I'm just asking, is the employer going to get upset with you and fire you because now you have an attorney involved? How much does the employer get involved in a workers' comp case, since you're really dealing with the insurances?
There's a specific statute that prevents that from happening.
Okay.
If the employers are very careful not to do something like that, because they can be sued for retaliatory discharge, basically retaliating against you for basically having a workers' comp claim. And it's not as if we're filing a lawsuit trying to seek negligent damages against anybody. It's an administrative process where we're asking that the benefits that are identified by the statutes of Florida be provided to the injured worker.
Now, at what point can you prove negligence on an employer's side? Because if you're saying that they're protected, that's the con. Let's say they were negligent, like the guy that stuck his hand in that auger that had it chopped off. At what point can you say enough is enough? This person needs to be taken care of for the rest of their life?
Well, unfortunately, the employers have a very strong lobby in Tallahassee, and they have lobbied the legislature over the years and have changed the laws numerous times, and not only the immunity aspect, but also other benefits that used to be provided to injured workers, and have whittled away a lot of the benefits that injured workers used to have 20 years ago. And the immunity is one of them. Now, in order to break the negligence immunity that they enjoy, you virtually have to show that the employer intended for you to get injured. So intentional acts are not, they do not enjoy immunity from intentional acts. So it's virtually impossible to break their immunity right now as the way the laws are written for them.
Are you as attorneys working towards having a loophole or an exception?
We do have a lobby group, but we're certainly not as funded as employers and insurance industry.
Sure.
And, what you learn about politics is that these, legislatures are very influenced by the monies that they get for their campaigns from insurance industry and employers. So what do? They pass laws that are beneficial to them as opposed to injured workers. So it's very one-sided right now in the system.
Well, as you're talking about this immunity, I'm thinking, okay, so you're helping the injured worker get whatever their benefits are. What are their benefits? What are we entitled to if we are injured on the job?
Well, I've whittled it down to where it's basically you get your medical benefits. In other words, if you get injured on the job and you seek medical benefits through workers' comp, they will provide the doctors, and they will pay 100% of the medical bills that are related to your on-the-job injury. You're also entitled to a portion of your wages if the doctor were to have you off work. If he has you off on a no work status, you're entitled to what they call temporary total disability, TTD, which is 2/3 of your average weekly wage. And the way they calculate your average weekly wage is they do a wage statement of your 13 weeks leading up to the accident. And that can be kind of disturbing sometimes, because say you took a vacation or during that where you got unpaid leave or something to that effect. Your 13-week wage statement would be reduced from what you normally think you make. Also, it really affects people that have cyclical jobs or jobs that have peaks and valleys of
commission. What about commissioned employees?
Exactly. So commission jobs. So say you get injured in the summertime and your commissions are really low during that time, whereas the Christmas time your pay is much higher. Mm-hmm. So your pay that you would get under workers' comp is much, much lower than if you'd gotten injured in December.
Correct.
So it's pretty unfair in that respect also, because they only have to look at the 13 weeks leading up to your accident.
Okay. And what else are you entitled to?
Well, That's basically it, other than they pay some mileage to and from the doctors and pay for your prescriptions. The only other thing that you're going to get is if your doctor puts you at maximum medical improvement and gives you a rating, you're going to get what they call IB benefits, impairment benefits, which is a small amount of money based on the percentage that he gives you. For instance, if he gives you a 3% impairment rating, you're entitled to a small portion of your comp rate, which is 2/3 of your average weekly wage.
Wow. Okay, so in a situation like that, Terry, how do you get paid?
Well, the lawyers get paid two different ways. We file petitions when there's benefits being denied. So, for instance, say your primary care doctor that they referred you to under the workers' comp system has ordered an MRI, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I think that was a more complicated question. I want you to hold that thought, and let's have some of these thoughts off the air. For those of you, my listening friends, we are recording this video, and we have conversations off the air that you may want to hear as well. So it'll be posted on YouTube later on, but I want to encourage you to always tune in. But if you want to listen to the conversation between the segments, you can also watch. And we're going to continue our conversation with Terry Byrd when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Yeah, so let's hold that thought, because you said that there are two ways that you get paid. I don't want to repeat this on the air because really I don't want to occupy. We only have one more segment left.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you see how quickly things go, Terry?
Yes, I got a lot more to talk about.
I know you do, but that's why you're going to keep coming back. So let's talk about how you get paid, because I'm curious.
Yeah, we can talk about settlements and how that works. And then the only other thing, maybe what to do if you're injured. In other words, when do you report it and stuff,
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if we have time for all that, but I'll try.
Yeah, we will. Let's talk about that when we go back on the air. But now, how do you get paid? Because if I'm going to contact you as a lawyer and all I'm going to get is my medical benefits and 2/3 of my wages and some mileage and prescription costs, how am I going to give you that money?
Oh, you don't owe me any of that money.
Good. Okay. That's important.
Yeah.
So that money is being paid to you by the workers' comp?
That's paid. Well, the wages and mileage and all that stuff is being paid to the injured worker, not me.
Correct. No. But you get paid by the insurance as well for your time.
I get a contingent fee on a settlement. And then the other part is if I get a benefit for you, then the insurance company owes me an attorney fee if they denied it wrongly.
Ah, okay.
That's the two ways.
Got it. So it doesn't come out of my pocket if I'm filing a claim.
Right. Never comes out of your pocket.
Yeah.
I'll make that clear when we go back. I'm going to get some water here.
Okay. Well, can you stop the recording then, Brian? Or maybe not. We're going to continue this, Brian. Yes. So here we go. That was quick. No, so that was very interesting because I never knew. I didn't know how that worked. So when we come back from the break, when to file and what the responsibilities of the employers, because there was a case where an employee got injured with they were a granite yard and they got injured and they really hurt themselves, and the employer did not file the claim.
Right.
And the employee did not go to the doctor's office.
Right.
Is that legal?
No, we file a petition and beat them over the head with that.
Yeah, and when you beat them over the head, the employee they're going to get in trouble?
Well, ultimately, yeah. I mean, ultimately, it is a adversarial arrangement where you're seeking benefits against the employer and their insurance company. So if they go to the great extent not even to report it, then they're not going to look kindly on you. But they can't fire you. But ultimately when you wrap up the case, you probably need to move on.
So they can let you go at that point, and you can't go back. Oh, here we go. Now keep an eye on the right hand side, Terry, for the timing. Okay.
Count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn from one another. And today's teacher is Terry Byrd of Byrd Byrd Attorneys at Law in Jacksonville. The number you can call him is 904-731-0990. You don't need to pay him anything to talk to him and learn what your rights are. I encourage you, if you have a question about, a potential injury or something that's happened, that you do reach out to him, because it's of no cost to you. His fees come as a contingency fee if you recuperate anything at the end. Right, Terry?
That's right, Lily. We were talking about there's only two ways lawyers get paid in workers' comp. One is the contingent fee. If we ultimately settle your case at the end, we get a small piece of the settlement. Most of the money will go to you, to the injured worker. The other way we get paid is if, say, for instance, the insurance company denies a particular benefit, and we file a petition for that benefit to be provided to the injured worker, and ultimately we are successful in getting that benefit, then the insurance company is penalized by having to pay an attorney fee to us, directly to us. So the injured worker never has to come out of pocket to pay their attorney for anything. All the monies that they get for wages, mileage, or IB benefits go straight to them, and the lawyer has nothing to do with those.
Perfect. Okay, so here's the case that I had shared for those of you, my listening friends, you can always watch this on YouTube later on. But so there's conversations that happen. So I shared a case with Terry that it was with a granite yard. The young man got injured. I mean, he almost chopped off his hand and suffered some bleeding, and the employer asked them not to go to the doctor. They did not want to file a case, and the injured worker didn't even go to the doctor. So in a situation like that, what would you say to that person that was injured when it comes to when does a employer need to file a claim, or can they do that? They just didn't want their rates to go up.
Well, under the law, they're required to report the injury to their workers' comp insurance company immediately, as soon as they're notified that an injury is taking place on the job. In your scenario, I would suggest that injured worker get a lawyer right away to file a petition for benefits. It will put an enormous pressure on the employer to get the insurance company to involved, and I'm sure under that scenario, we would be successful in obtaining the medical and wage benefits that are entitled to.
But what if they didn't go to the doctor because the employer said don't go to the doctor?
That's not going to matter. The employer is required to provide a medical treatment. The fact that it didn't initially go is not the employee's fault. It's the employer's fault.
And you can go after the employer or just the workers' comp insurance to provide the check for them?
Yeah, I mean, because they have workers' comp, they are immune, as we talked about. They're immune from any of their negligence. And I mean negligence from delay in treatment that may cause you further injury.
Wow.
All those types of things. Unless you can show they meant for you to get hurt. It was intended for you to get hurt, which is so difficult to prove. You can't know somebody's heart as to what's in their mind, as to them hating you or something that want you to get injured. So the vast majority of cases, the employers have immunity from negligence.
So how quickly should an employer report this, and how quickly should a employee get treatment?
Well, they're required under the law to report it immediately or as soon as they are notified of the injury. In Florida, when you're injured on the job, you as an employee are required to report the injury to your supervisor. Now, I recommend that you do so immediately and make notes of who you're reporting it to. It must be a supervisor. You actually technically have 30 days to report your on-the-job injury to save your workers' comp case. Okay, so if you were to wait longer than that, you could be forever barred from pursuing comp benefits. Now, I've had a case, I can talk about a case that I had where a gentleman was working for a furniture delivery company, and he was lifting a couch with a co-employee. He injured his back. He had just started the job, and the co-employee was the witness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't report it to his supervisor because he was afraid, well, they may let me go or whatever. I need this job. But he didn't realize, and he thought, well, maybe my back will just get better because, lifting does cause my back pain sometimes,
Yeah.
Well, so he made that decision, but then about 2 months into it, he realized his back was not getting better. And then he finally tried to make his workers' comp claim, and they denied it because
too much time.
Never notified the employer vis-a-vis the supervisor of the injury. The fact that a co-employee knew was of no consequence because that co-employee is not responsible for doing anything with regards to his workers' comp claim. So he ended up needing surgery, and lots of medical bills and lost wages were incurred. And he did not get compensated for any of those because he failed to report within 30 days his injury to a supervisor.
Wow. So that's the thing that we need to do is we need to report it within 30 days. I know that personal injury has a similar clause that if you don't get medical attention within a certain amount of time, you can't file a claim either there. So with workers' comp, what else do we need to be alerted of?
Well, another case I had where a lady surprisingly was working at her desk and got bit by a little spider. You think it was a very innocuous little injury, which most of us say, wow, that's a little scratch, and she thought nothing of it. But luckily, as the days went on, it swelled up a little bit. It wasn't getting better. She kept thinking it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And she never reported it to a supervisor. She never said anything. 28 days after the bite, she finally says, I better say something to somebody because this is not getting better. So thank goodness she told her supervisor, 28 days ago, I got bit by this spider. And he says, oh, yeah, we've had some problems with some insects here in the office. He says, let me send you to our primary care doctor. And he was nice enough. He actually did open a workers' comp claim.
Wow.
And Lilly, you won't believe what happened in that case. She developed what they call RSD, which is a horrible diagnosis that causes extreme pain. And not only did it debilitate her one leg, it traveled to the other leg.
Oh no. Was it a recluse spider?
No, it wasn't even that. It was just
she was allergic.
I don't know what kind of spider it was, but it was not a recluse. And she ended up permanently and totally disabled from that little tiny spider bite. And if she had waited 2 more days, she would not have gotten her benefits under the system.
So even a spider bite at work, I don't know, where was she working? In the jungles? Where was it?
No.
Just in her office, just an insect problem. So that's a good warning for all of us that it's small or big. If it happens on the job, then they have a case, right? That's what I'm getting from you.
Yes, and you just have to show the burden of proof is on you, but it's a small burden. You just have to prove that it's happened on the job. Now, certain injuries, while it may happen on the job, it's what they call idiopathic, and that means it could have happened anywhere. Those cases are not workers' comp. For instance.
Well, I tell you what, Terry, this is so important. You had thought that we're not going to have a lot to talk about, but we do have a lot to talk about. So hold that thought. We're going to continue this conversation when we go off the air because I want people to tune in there at YouTube. But Terry, I want to acknowledge you. Thank you so much for your wisdom today, for coming on the show. I want to remind my listening friends and my viewers that Terry Byrd is at Byrd Attorneys at Law. It doesn't cost you anything to find out what your rights are. And the number is 904-731-0990. You could also go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on to this week's blog, and it will take you right to Terry's at email, and it has all his information. They're in Jacksonville, 1616 Emerson Street, Suite A, and he can start helping you. Terry, thank you so much for your wisdom and for sharing it today.
Thank you, Lily.
And to you, my listening friend, You can start calling now, 407-373-5959. The first 2 callers will win gift cards to Native Sun in Jacksonville, 3 locations. They're there waiting for you to help you replenish your supplies of food during this terrible time in Florida. And we're going to continue. Just remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Oh my goodness, I got through with it. Okay, so let's continue. I want you to answer this, the question that you were going through. You were saying about the case.
You talking about the? Are we off the mic?
No, we're still on. I wanna make sure that you finish. I don't know if you were seeing that the countdown was happening.
Oh yeah. Well, what I was saying is that not all injuries can be proven that they happened on the job. There's an idiopathic injury, which is basically an injury that could happen anywhere. For instance, if you were at work and you happen to bend over and pick up a pencil, and your back goes out, that's not going to be covered under workers' comp because that could happen anywhere. You could have been over at home and very easily hurt your back. It has to be germane to the workplace. In other words.
But wait a minute, that spider bite was not, it could have happened anywhere.
It could have, except for the fact that they had problems with insects at that office.
Oh.
They were able to show that. So they initially thought maybe they were going to deny that case based on idiopathic, but they changed their mind, which I was very pleased that they did not put up a huge fight. If it had been another insurance company, they might have put out a bigger fight, but this one really helped us out, and I was very appreciative.
It goes to show you that it's really important to just check with you to see, because if I would have done this by myself and it would have been my insect bite and I would have tried to do this on my own, I may not have been as successful as having you on my side that you know the ins and outs. So thank you so much for doing that, Terry.
You're welcome.
Well, we're going to end the recording and just know that Terry is there waiting for you. Call him at 904-731-0990. And they're in Jacksonville off of Emerson Street, 1616 Emerson Street. And I am thrilled. I'm sorry?
1646.
1646?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. My eyes are going bad. What can I say? Let me see what I have here. You're right. 1646. I need to go get my eyes checked. I think I said 1616 before, but yeah, 1646. Gotcha now. And so thank you for watching today on YouTube, and we'll continue our conversation tomorrow. And so, Brian, you can just shut me down right now. Mwah.